after him with the phones. That's love.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto, back from vacation, and Super Bowl 58 is officially set. As 2 Sundays from now, the 49ers and Chiefs will go head-to-head in Las Vegas. And not to brag or anything, but I will be there. And you know what? You're going to be there too, because we're bringing you with us. Now, the last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl 4 years ago, we were gifted with a classic. Patrick Mahomes threw one of the most iconic passes of his career to kickstart one of the best comebacks in Super Bowl history. Now, that comeback ended in Mahomes' first Super Bowl. And another moment from that game went viral yesterday. George Kittle and the aftermath of the loss.
I will be back here. I will be back here, and I will be back with vengeance. You will not get the best of me, no sir.
I actually want to cry, get a little emotional watching this back again. It's just a friendly reminder that just because you lose, you are not a failure. It's a time for you to have redemption, and I love that sentiment that he's just sharing with himself, but also all of us. Now, how these two teams got here is a very different story. For KC, it's what we've seen all playoffs. A very efficient offense that was moving the ball with ease against a great defense. But on the Baltimore side of things, it's time we had the Lamar Jackson conversation, because the playoff numbers are just not what the regular season ones are. He's now 2-4 in the postseason, but 3 of those losses have come as a home favorite. And he's turned the ball over 9 times in those 6 games. And Twitter was not holding back, calling Lamar Jackson the Joel Embiid of the NFL. I know this is meant as a chirp, but Embiid is arguably the best NBA player this season, and it's really hard to win in the playoffs. On the NFC side of things, it's one of the better playoff comebacks we've ever seen. As for much of the first half, it looked like we were getting Taylor Swift versus Eminem in the Super Bowl. But then the game flipped, and it flipped quick. Hat tip to Opta for this great stat, but 114 times. A team has been trailing by 17 or more at halftime of a playoff game, and the Niners became the first to ever erase that deficit by the end of the third quarter. Don't worry, we're going to get into the Lions and their tortured fans later in the show. But let's talk about that spread, because San Fran opened at 1.5 favorites, with the total set at 47.5, meaning for the third straight game, Patrick Mahomes will be an underdog in the playoffs, which has been a great spot for bettors, as he's 11-1-1 in his career against the spread as a dog, including 3-0 in the playoffs, and is 10-3 in those games outright. So if you think the same happened Sunday, it's likely he wins the MVP, and you can get him at plus 130 for that on FanDuel, with Brock Purdy right behind him at plus 210. But you know where my money will be, and that's Travis Kelce at 20-1. Because we've gone this whole time and barely mentioned Taylor Swift. And to be honest with you, I really only want to talk about her to upset all the Brads and Chads, as she likes to call them, in the comment sections, because oh my goodness, are you guys okay? Like, are you gonna be okay? I've seen so many TikToks going off about her, so many tweets, so many comments on her TSN posts. Like, I need to know, are you going to be okay? Because this is hilarious. And you can watch Super Bowl 58 Sunday, February 11th on CTV and TSN at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, with the coverage starting nice and early on CTV at noon Eastern. We are officially entering All-Star Week in the NHL, which means there's not much going on the ice as far as games go. Tonight, there is only one game, as the Sens take on the Preds. Coming into this game, Ottawa are in last of the Atlantic, which is not something anybody expected coming into the season. And instead of keeping our eye on the playoff race, Sens fans are looking at the reverse standings. And right now, they've got the 4th fewest points in the league, behind dumpster fires Anaheim, San Jose, and Chicago. Ottawa's got some games in hand, though. But the way they've been playing, that's no guarantee for wins. Before a 7-2 loss to the Rangers on Saturday, the Sens have gone 5 straight games with a point. But it's a reminder of how the season has gone. Ottawa has allowed 5 or more goals 16 times this year. And not surprising, they haven't won one of those games. It gets worse though, because if you go down a goal, the Sens have allowed 4 or more 25 times, which is 55% of the time. And they've got just one regulation win in that span. Jonas Korpisalo and Anton Forsberg are the worst and 7th worst in goals saved above expected of all goalies in the NHL. If there's a bright side though, and there's barely one, is that Tim Stützle has been better in his last 8 games, as he has 11 points in that span, and is back to being a point-a-game player. Brady Tkachuk is also on pace for a career year in goals, which would be a welcome sight. And what's also a welcome sight is games against the Blue Jackets, Ducks, and Blackhawks over their next 6, so they could maybe gain some momentum. Time now for my favorite segment and yours, Why We Love Sports Today.
Why we love sports today.
And we've got a supersized edition of this segment today. I'm back, baby! This is what happens when I go away. They just hoard videos for me to react to, because we all know how much you love my reactions in the comments, am I right? And this next one is a fun one, as they all are. Whoa. The flips! Oh, ow. How do we try this? How do we try this here? Do we have one of these things in Canada? That's fun. I think this actually might make me a better Skateboarder. They're making it look too easy though. Like now I'm watching this feeling like I could do it when I think we all know that's not true. And speaking of skateboarding, we love when we can get a good skateboarding video on the show. And that's exactly what this is. Yes. Ooh. Oh! Oh my God. How? That's incredible. One more time. Okay. See, people that don't skateboard don't understand how difficult all of these things are because they make them look so easy when how? Back to football, and we need to dive deeper into the Lions side of things from yesterday. Because that level of collapse is the type of sports fan pain that is specifically made for Lions fans. Halfway through the third quarter, their win probability reached 90%. And these stats, they get much worse. They're just the fourth team in NFL history to have a 17-point or more halftime lead in a playoff game and then lose by 3 or more. Now, it seems behind every heartbreaking comeback in football, there's always one play that stands out. And that Brandon Ayuk catch off the defender's helmet is definitely the defining play of that collapse. And speaking of that catch, check Ayuk's reaction when he found out he didn't make number 1 on SC's top 10.
Who they gonna have at 1 then? Let me see this. Man, get the
Valid response. Damn, he should have been number 1. What the heck? What the heck? But here's the important question to ask a day later. Are the Lions the most tortured fan base in NFL history? Because really there are only 3 contenders. The Lions, the Bills, and the Browns. And this one definitely goes on the Lions' resume. Right next to the 0-16 season, especially with the blown NFC Championship game added to the list. But the Bills' resume is pretty good too. We've got wide right, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, the Music City Miracle, a 17-year playoff drought, 13 seconds, and then wide right part 2. Now for the Browns, who are also a dog in this fight. And yeah, that pun was intended. As they've got some bad ones too, but theirs mostly happen in the 80s. At least the playoff ones, as the drive and the fumble are as hard as they can get. Then the team left and went to Baltimore. Then the Baltimore team went on to win the Super Bowl. And what makes that 0-16 season even worse is that it was coming off of a 1-15 season. So which of these 3 is the most tortured NFL fan base? Let us know in the comments. That's all for today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow 3 Eastern. No Pacific! Have a good one.